Thanks a lot. And to make things very funny, the first conference, you will see me a lot tomorrow. And for my first conference, I decided to disappoint you a lot. Yes, intentionally. I decided to promote Digital Factory 7.1, which is the latest version of our UXP platform. Everybody in the audience should know Digital Factory, which is our main product, the framework on which you can build different UXPs for your customers. And Digital Factory makes links between all the different applications you have to integrate for your customers to be successful in managing their online projects. Our philosophy is that all the subsystems, like, I don't know, analytics, translation, DAM, whatever, that needs to work with Digital Factory to enable your customers to be successful, they should disappear. Your customers shouldn't go from Digital Factory to another application, then another application, etc., etc. We try to do that, to integrate all those tools as seamlessly as possible, to make them transparent, and to allow your editors, marketers, project managers to work inside Digital Factory, inside this unique interface, the same way for everything they have to do, so they don't have to learn 5 different systems, if possible, and to have a unique user experience themselves when building, managing, launching website, mobile sites, mobile applications, and so on. The 3 most important words that drive us when working on Digital Factory are reliability, which is the first one. Agility, we want the platform to be agile, for you to be agile, to be able to plug the subsystems you want or integrate them. And the time to market. We try as much as possible to make efforts to reduce the time to market for your project, for your customers' projects, etc., etc. And it was true last year, it was true 5 years ago, and those remains our primary goals. So I told that I decided to disappoint you for my first conference. This is a short conference, and there is a good reason for that. So today, Digital Factory 7.1 is in release candidate stage. We are finishing release notes, things like that. So it will be publicly available end of June for both distributions, community and enterprise. And that's what is disappointing, and in fact, most of you won't be disappointed, I think. I announced last year that we wanted to stop changing or introducing new things. We wanted some stability, because some customers required us some stability. So no new framework introduced, no frameworks has been replaced or added. We haven't made major architectural changes. The platform is good. The base of the platform is good, but we are focused on making it faster, more reliable, etc., etc. And we have introduced a few improvements this year, but most of our efforts, basically we spent, the engineering team spent between 20 and 25% of the whole year on Digital Factory, but in fact our major efforts were ported on Marketing Factory and Commerce Factory that you will discover tomorrow, and also on Form Factory that has been released a little bit earlier this year, and that will be presented live in a few minutes. So that was our focus. So don't be surprised if there are not a lot of new things in Digital Factory. This is what we wanted, because the other pieces you can plug into Digital Factory are, in fact, more important and bring much more value than everything we could have done this year for this new version. And the customers want some stability. They don't want to have a brand new version with revolutionary things and changes, because it implies risks every year. But we have a lot of very exciting things for next year, so I will reveal them tomorrow at the closing session about the roadmap of all the different products. Some of the partners that were there yesterday had a sneak peek of that, and I had very good feedback about what I announced, so I hope you will be there until the last minute. So for the editors, we've introduced a very simple thing, but we had a lot of editors complaining about, yeah, sometimes I edit content and I save it, but I haven't finished it. I forgot to put a lock on it because it's a little bit, if I put a lock, no one else can access to the same content and edit it. But another editor with the same rights as I have, or bigger rights than me, bigger in terms of ACL, published the whole section, including my content that was at work and not finished, in fact. And I didn't want this piece of content, this image, whatever, this document being published. So we've introduced very simply a system of work in progress. So the editors can easily say that the work is not finished on that, and even if the root of the system decide to publish all the site, all the websites of the platform, all the content that are in work in progress status won't be published. So it will avoid a lot of problems and a lot of possible errors, mistakes. When you have a team of 2 or 3 editors, it's never a problem. When you have a team of 15, 20, 100 possible editors at the same time, you know that managing ACLs, who has the right to publish what section, etc., this can lead to errors. So that's this little but very nice improvement. It has been tested with 1 or 2 customers and internally on our website since 5, 6 months, and it changed the life. It's just a stupid thing that changed the life of the users. And also, it makes you possible to create in the user dashboard if you want, or adapt dashboard with the content which is in progress. So to help the user to know, okay, I have this content, this content, this content, I haven't finished, and I must work on them quickly. So it's up to you to use also this information to build nicer experience, customized for your final customers. Also, we introduced, in fact, in a hotfix during the year, but as everybody is not on the latest version, I put that here. A simple publish in all languages shortcut everywhere. Because it was painful for the editors to, they had to switch from one language to another to publish the content. And if you have your content in, let's say, 10, 12, 17 languages, it was really a pain point for the editors. So we have introduced that. It seems very simple, but in fact, introducing such workflow and publication changes on a model is not so simple as that. So it's disappointing in terms of UI. It's just a few new entries in the submenus. But in terms of engineering and to make that work smoothly, etc., it was complicated and interesting to do. And we have other improvements to come next year on the same topic. We can still improve things on that part. For the developers now, the major thing, we have improved the REST API. So last year, you may have attended to conferences, technical conferences about the new REST API. We had feedbacks from the developers, the partners or developers inside our customers' teams. And so to make the relationship and the usability of the REST API, being able to communicate with other systems or retrieve content from the GCR to push that in other systems, there were some shortcomings. So we have added the possibility to have more parameters to pass in your calls, to retrieve also all the children of a node and not only the first level of nodes, to resolve references, which was one of the big issues technically for some of our customers. They wanted to resolve all the references. Now it's implemented. You can now use a query. You have a query endpoint, so you can perform SQL2 queries through the REST API as if you were directly on the GCR, on the storage layer of Jahia. So that's very powerful. And you can also, for performance reasons, but not only, but you can filter the children you want to receive, the type of nodes you want to receive back. So you don't receive thousands and thousands of nodes. You don't need to. If you just need this type of node types, this type of content, you can filter that and say that in your query. So I think it will help a lot to build new complex applications around digital factory. We have improved a bit the studio and the development area. We've introduced the studio last year with a lot of things. We had tremendous feedback. Everybody is very excited, but rapidly some of the developers pointed at shortcomings, as it happens in every new version or every new tool. So first, we know that it was playing with OSGI. It brings great things in terms of capability to have a system that you don't have to restart, etc. when you deploy new modules, new features. But it has a cost in terms of development, mainly when you want to include other frameworks that are not provided by Jahia, not included directly. If you have a framework with a lot of libraries, with a lot of dependencies, building an OSGI module is something complicated. Nobody can say the reverse. It's true, it's complicated, it's more complicated than before, but you have some benefits after that. So we have improved a lot that and the resolution of dependencies this year. There is a good conference you should attend, technical guys, tomorrow at 12. A common conference between our CTO and someone from the product services, so someone who is on the battlefield with our customers, facing the real issues they have, etc., with a lot of return of experiences. So it will be a very interesting conference. We have introduced also the faculty to duplicate a module because it was not so easy. And so now you go in the studio, you choose a module. It can be a module provided by Jahia, a module that you've done for one project, and you want to not to touch that module, but make a version, something very close but different for another customer. And you don't want to spend hours. That's one of the benefits of using Jahia, the industrialization, the studio, and the App Store. So you just have to click on it, click on the button, duplicate module, give it a new name, and we recreate the structure and duplicate everything so you can start coding directly, and you don't have to do a lot of messy configurations or copying things by hand, etc., etc. So you can save a lot of time. We have improved also the definition builder because there are little bugs or shortcomings. And the main pain point was this one that was reported to us when a developer was in the Jahia studio and wanted to download sources from a module. He was unfortunately able only to have the master branch of the sources. But in real time, in real life, you have to deal with a lot of different branches in your code repository, etc. So it was a shortcoming. Now you can just, when you download sources, if we detect that there are different branches, you have the choice to download the trunk sources or whatever branch you need. So this will improve a lot the comfort of working for the developers. We have 2 or 3 other improvements in our basket to be delivered in next months. I will talk about that tomorrow also during the product roadmap. Another thing for the developers, the 7.0 implementation of the tags were not satisfying. We had 2 customers saying that we have thousands and thousands and thousands of tags, and it doesn't scale well. It has an impact on performances. So as I said, we wanted to have the product that is reliable, performant, etc. So we decided to refactor that as soon as possible to provide something more stable and more reliable that scales well prior to introduce new features, new fancy features. As a product owner, I cried a little bit because I love fancy features and inventing new things and providing new tools for the editors, but that was much more important. So as a product owner, I was a little bit sad. As a VP of the product, I took the right decision, I think, to refactor that as soon as possible. So now how the tags are handled is much more easy to play with. It's, well, the best thing to do is, as you will be here for 2 days, one of the engineers of that made those refactoring is in this room, and you can, Kevin, please stand up So if someone had problems with our tags and want to have more information about how it has been implemented, you can go to this guide directly. And we have added new UI to manage the tags and do fancy operation on that, merge tags, rename tags, etc., etc. And finally, our third main target, if you remember last year, we have some personas, always the editors, the developers, and the sysadmin and architects, PMs, etc. The third part of the improvements concerns those guys because those are the ones that are the most stressed because they have to keep a system up and running all the time. Now, nearly all websites are mission-critical projects. Even when there is no commerce involved, when there is commerce involved, it's worse because there's direct money and flow of money that is can be jeopardized. So it has always been, and it will be more and more one of our primary targets as a software vendor. We want to satisfy those guys. So in terms of environment now, Digital Factory 7.1 fully supports Java 8. But you can still continue to run it on Java 7 if you want to, or if you are not confident with Java 8 for whatever reason. The WebFear 8.5 is still supported. GBoss AS7.x also, including the managed domain support. We have completely externalized all the data and configuration. I talked to you about that last year. I told to you last year that we were near to finish that, but we weren't able to introduce that in the 7.0. So now it's totally finished. So if you have, we don't touch any more of the application. If you want to do ERs or things like that, it's possible. Plus other little minor improvements that you will discover, I think, in the documentation or on the website. I don't need to talk a lot because all the audience is not passionate about little technical details that can ease the life of the developers and the architects and the sysadmins, but everybody is not happy with that or passionate with that. The other big area of refactoring was the user and group services. The user and group services was a very old code. I could say perhaps the oldest code of all the application, 10 years old. That's one of the part of the code that we haven't touched doing the 6.5 and 7.0 when we rebuilt a big part of Digital Factory. So now it was time to rebuild that, to make more usable services, more extensible services, because you need to be connected with the whole world in a modern UXP. So we have based this new implementation on the external data provider to have something very standard that you have already discovered last year. We have rewritten the LDAP providers, but we provide a bridge by default to ensure that all the custom valves you may have created for your customers, or that you customers have created for to branch or to connect to your internal systems, still continue to work. And we have added some admin panels to manage more easily the different providers. So if you have different providers, users or group providers declared on your website, you know that you can have multiple LDAP connected to a Digital Factory since years, but you can have also other users and group providers. Now you can stop them, etc., without going to a config file or whatever. You just have to go in the interface and click or declare a new provider, etc. So it will ease the work of the sysadmins in particular. Another point interesting mostly for the architects. We have created a front-end module with Elasticsearch. So if your project needs a lot of scalability, is very search-intensive, it's better to rely on an external search engine that can scale very well, like Elasticsearch, because it's nearly automatic. It's a kind of magic. And so that's why we have done that. It's not for all the projects. Everybody won't need that. Most of the time, the internal Lucene is clearly enough for what you have to do. But there are always projects with specific needs. And for the specific needs, using this Elasticsearch module, so it will respond to all the requests of the visitors in front end. It works exactly as if it was the Lucene. We have integrated that with the ACL. Obviously, if someone is not supposed to see any a content because it doesn't have the right, because it belongs to this group or this group or this group, he won't see it. It's also completely integrated with a publication mechanism. So it's not a scheduler or some nasty thing. As soon as you publish something, the internal Lucene in Jacquerie will index it for all the backend operations, but also the content will be indexed immediately by the Elasticsearch on the front end. There is a conference about that, technical conference, to know a bit more about Elasticsearch for those who don't know, but to see how it has been implemented, etc. Friday, 4 p.m. Nearly finally, we have introduced, or reintroduced, because it used to be the case long time ago in the Digital Factory, when it was not called Digital Factory, but Jahia. Now you can declare users per site and not at the top level, not at the server level. So if you have multi-tenancy approach projects and you want to have completely isolated users to avoid any risk of mistake of when I decide to give rights to someone, if you have two users with close names, when you have a user that belongs to a website, he only can access to the content of this website, and you cannot put someone in the group of this website by mistake, because if he belongs to another website, you won't see him in all the different admins, panels, and etc., etc. So most of the projects, most of our customers share their different users and don't care about that, but there are cases where you need that. We know we had some requests last year, so we decided to implement that to ease you had to do nasty tricks to be able to do that before. So now it's completely integrated in product, and all the UIs to manipulate groups and users have been updated to reflect this change. Another thing, we have made a Jahia to Jahia connector, meaning that now you can have completely different instances of Jahia, not in cluster, that can share files with each other. But not only files, you can search from one instance of Jahia to another instance. So you can mount, basically you can mount a file repository from one Jahia into another one. And for your editors, they can access this content, those files and images, etc., as if it were completely local. They don't have to care about where is it coming from, etc., etc. They can do the same searches as if it were local content. The rights are respected, so you have two methods to do this kind of integration. You can ask the root user to do the connection and say, everybody will have my rights, so you have full access to this distant repository. Well, it's not recommended, but sometimes you may need that. But basically, most of you will use the SSO approach. So all the users, as soon as the user exists on both systems, and most of the time the users are in LDAP, so it's not a problem. So if I'm user of the platform 1 and I try to I access to a document on platform 2 and I don't have the right, I won't be able to do anything with it. All the rights are completely respected, so it's a seamless experience. It authorizes you architects to orchestrate large environments and conceive, for instance, tell to your customer, oh, you shouldn't have a big cluster and put all your projects on the same cluster because it's more complicated to deal with. It's more complicated in terms of management of the different users and the rights and the ACL. Just put one instance of Jahia because it's enough for the marketing department, another one perhaps for this other department, and you have your cluster of 2 or 3 servers for your main website, for instance, but the guys from the main website will be able to use what is produced on those different Jahia instances, and there will be no risk that the guy from the marketing breaks something in the corporate website because he won't have access at all to this platform. So it's something that the architects must appropriate themselves for scalability reasons, performance reasons, or management reasons. This can be a very good approach. Right now, it's limited to files and all the binaries, but we really want to extend that, and that will be a funny part, I hope, next year, to extend that to all type of editorial content nodes, meaning that if the department produce an article, I don't mean an article inside a PDF or a Word document, a binary, but really in the CMS, an article, a news, whatever the type, a receipt, who cares? The same guys on the corporate website will be able to pick directly this content that is on another Jahia instance, not related, not in cluster, and put that content directly on the website if they want. And that would be really nice when you'll be able to do that. It will be tremendous in terms of usability, in terms of, I think you will be able to build great platforms like that. My final slides, 2 slides on the performances, because as I said, we have worked a lot on the stability. We have refactored the oldest code of Jahia to be sure that the user and services was up to date and you can leverage it for your biggest project. But we have made a lot of improvements also on the performance. So this is some of the results I share with you, but we'll publish now on a regular basis our performance results. Now the QA team is a little bit bigger, we have more time, so we're going to publish that on a regular basis, even the new test. But to give you a simple example, on a cluster of 2 nodes, so 2 servers, one for the authoring, one for the publishing, shared database between, because it's a cluster, with basically 3 gigabytes of RAM dedicated to all the cache. So we have our test reference site is about 2,000 pages in one language. We have also some tests with several languages. We introduce 1,350 anonymous users on the website, so clicking, etc., in parallel, plus the same amount of authenticated user on one server. It's a standard server, nothing fancy, not 64 processors, etc. The basic, the normal standard server that we can see in every implementation those days. Plus, we have, at the same time, editing in the authoring environment, 600 editors that create new content or edit existing content and publish it. So, meaning that we don't rely on the cache because it would be easy to give better results, even better results, if you don't touch at all to the cache of the different pages. But all along the test, we have 600 people changing the content and publishing. So the cache is not is solicited a lot, and we have to rebuild the cache each time something changes. All the editing operations are below 700 milliseconds in the average. So it's a Gmeter report. We'll publish that, and for the 90% line, below 1.9 seconds, which is too big, in my opinion, always too big, but it means that for an editor, when doing something, a new operation like creating content, editing content, opening windows, etc., it remains a very, very good responsiveness time. And all the browsing operations, so going through the site, searching, etc., is below 330 milliseconds in average, and the 90% of all the connections, all the operations are below 500 milliseconds nearly. So what we've seen is the most consuming thing right now is just to be able to paginate the search results when you have a lot of results that are returned. It's a little bit bigger. But only this but the average is still very good. The median is still very good, but we have a few outliers. But those results are just really great. We did the same test with the 7.0, and so the load on the browsing is we have 35% more users with the same performance, and 21% in editing compared to 7.0. And we did the same test in 3 node clusters, and 1 authoring and 2 publishing instances, and we have nearly doubled the number of anonymous users and authenticated users. And so shared session, balanced sessions. And you can see that, look at the figures here, here, here. I'm going back. Those are the same. So we're going to do the test with, again, more users and add a third publishing instance. But basically, what we have here is that in terms of delivery of pages, it's perfectly linear. We don't lose performance by adding front-end clusters to deliver pages. Perfectly linear. Exactly the same number at a small percentage. Even better number with more users on some operations because of the two clusters, 2 nodes. That concludes my presentation. I hope you are not too disappointed because there were not a lot of fancy stuff for the editors in particular. But be there tomorrow. You will have some announcements for fancy stuff this year because the team